welcome to DieCastRestos. My name is Jason and this is the 9C Merryweather Marquis Series III fire engine, produced by Lesney for the Matchbox range between 1959 and 1966. This example is missing its signature ladder set, and the majority of its paint to boot. It had numerous variations of wheel type and colour, ladder type and colour, if hoses were cast on the rear, and location of silver trim. There were grey or black plastic wheels with 24 or 45 notches when black. Ladders could be found in brown, gold or silver, and trim that always covered the front but occasionally the rear hose connectors. On black wheeled versions with 45 notches on the tyres like this one, only the front was trimmed in silver and ladders were gold or silver. Here I am drilling out the rivet post with a 1.5mm drill bit, and for the second time in a row,
another one.
I managed to remove the broken piece, but the post is now unusable for drilling out and threading. Nevertheless, I continue post-paint removal and polish the casting. The Merryweather Marquis fire engine was a common sight on British roads in the 50s and 60s. The vehicle was based on an AEC Mercury truck. AEC stands for the Associated Equipment Company, that built trucks, buses and motor coaches from 1912 until its closure by British Leyland in 1979. Merryweather & Sons were established in 1692 in Clapham in London and later in Greenwich in London. They hold a royal warrant of appointment to the Queen. Initially, the company built vertical boilers on horse-drawn platforms to provide pressure to pump for a steam fire engine. Interestingly, the helmets used by British fire crews in the Victorian era well into the 20th century were known as Merryweather helmets. Distinct in their design, they were based on the French sapeur-pompier helmets and replaced their traditional previous black leather helmets. Yep, that's a piece of the wire from the wire wheel embedded into my palm. A timely reminder to always wear eye protection using these power tools, particularly when using cheap eBay wire wheels. Here I am applying some primer to the base. I've used Tamiya light grey fine surface primer, and I'll give the base a coating of black paint later on. The same is then applied to the body. There's a lot of surface area to cover on this model. There are pockets of space and hard to reach areas all over the casting, particularly the spots where there are 90-degree angles. But here, for the first time, you can begin to pick out the casting details. It's time to make this fire engine glow red. I'm using up the remains of some Italian red TS8 from Tamiya. It's just a touch too bright for this model, but I don't want to put it to waste. This is the main issue with using aerosol sprays over airbrushes. That and the high postage cost due to postal restrictions on aerosols. As ever, it has gone on beautifully. I can't complain about the finish. It is ideal no matter what the model. I will go over it with a second coat to make sure the red has penetrated all those cavities. Now I clean up the wheels using a toothbrush and warm soapy water. Then I pop the axles into my drill and remove the surface rust with a piece of wet and dry paper. Next, it's time to apply the silver trim using my Molotow chrome paint pen. There's a large grille to cover, so I'm using both 1mm and 2mm size nibs. The headlights are filled in, and the bumper also gets a coating. I'm still in the chrome over silver paint camp. I simply prefer the shiny finish that you get with it. Now I know it's less authentic, but I find it really makes the models pop. But I can definitely see why people prefer the silver over the chrome. I've gone over the edge of the grill a bit here, so I'm quickly dabbing the paint off with some tissue paper and I can retouch later on. In addition to fire appliances, Merryweather also produced steam tram engines and hydraulics. The AEC Mercury, on which the model is based, was produced between 1954 and 1965, with around 13,000 produced. It was later fitted with an ergomatic tilting cab from 1965 to 1977. This is the replica ladder set I obtained from Model Supplies. I filed away a couple of little imperfections and then went over the ladders with a wire wheel, and then they were good to fit. They simply click into the 2 holes on the roof. I painted the front tab end in chrome as well. The tongue never remained black, so I assume the trim must have been applied in the factory after the base and body casting had been brought together. Once the tongue has found the slot, I can push the base over the rear rivet post. Usually I would screw the base securely on, but the rivet post is wide enough to hold the base in position. So here is a brief reminder of how the Merryweather Marquis looked at the beginning. Looking not at all hot, missing its signature red and its ladders. This fire engine wouldn't be a lot of help in an emergency. So what it needed was the kiss of life just to make it look remotely like what it used to in its heyday. So here is what she looks like now. The Marquis is now looking 100 times better with its glossy red coat, shiny new tyres, bright new axles and some dazzling new brightwork. It's got a new set of silver ladders, that means it's fit for active duty again. Those firefighters can get back to saving cats from trees and babies from burning buildings. Seriously though, this has been a good restoration to take on for a model that spent a long time in the Matchbox range. Its spiritual successor came as the 35C Merryweather fire engine in 1969, so a Merryweather appliance didn't spend long out of the range. Anyway, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.